All right, so today we are going to be breaking down the 2023 NFL Draft. There's obviously a lot of intriguing prospects coming out this year. It's kind of a crapshoot, though. Um, from what I've been hearing, there's not a lot of like high end draft talents. Not any crazy drafts like we've had in the past couple of years, especially not with skill positions in the first round. Um, I think the quarterbacks this year, I think they're a little bit hit and miss. I mean, like everybody's talking about them being this great draft class, and almost every single time that we hear that, like think back to the that Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold draft class. Like that was touted to be, a great draft class at the time for quarterbacks, and it ended up. I mean, Sam Darnold's on his third team already, and where's Josh Rosen? So, um, I don't know. I don't think you can trust it. I mean, obviously Bryce Young has got. You know what? Okay, we're getting a little bit off topic here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start out by saying we're gonna be taking a look at the top 10 and a couple extra picks. Just we'll get to that a little bit later. But as of right now, obviously the day of the draft, so I mean I'm not going to be really changing it very much. But number one with the Panthers, I have Bryce Young. Two with the Texans, I've got Will Anderson Jr. actually there. And then three with the Cardinals, Tyree Wilson. The Colts end up getting C.J. Stroud falling in their lap. The Seahawks take the chance on Jalen Carter, considering the fact that they've got a number 5 pick, and you're not going to get an opportunity to take somebody with this much talent this high again very soon. So the Lions go ahead and grab Devon Witherspoon, who's going to be great to pair up with Aiden Hutchinson. The Raiders grab Will Levis. Titans grab Anthony Richardson. They trade with Atlanta. And the Steelers get Paris Johnson Jr. from a trade with Chicago. And the Eagles grab Bijan Robinson to add a bit of a dynamic factor in that backfield. Him and Hurts together would be absolutely incredible to watch. I mean, that ground and pound game would be incredible. And then you've got Devontae Smith and AJ Brown over there. It's just that's a nasty set of offensive weapons. But we are going to go ahead and dive into the quarterbacks of this draft class. Starting off at the top here with Bryce Young. As far as production goes, scoring the football, had a little bit of a down year as opposed to his 2021 season, but I mean, still absolutely, effective. So first things first, obviously, everybody knows about his size, but the biggest thing that I saw when watching film was that I think the biggest way that affects him, aside from of course him being the injury risk, is that he throws the ball short on routes sometimes, and he throws it into the ground a lot. I also think he makes a lot of poor decisions under pressure a lot of times, and he doesn't have great foot speed. And I mean, he gets outrun by linebackers sometimes. So mobility isn't his greatest strong suit out of the pocket. He's pretty good inside of the pocket, just maneuverability and good footwork. But another issue is that he loves to really throw over the middle a lot. That is his favorite part of the field. It looks like those intermediate, middle of the field types of throws, which is going to be picked off in the NFL a lot, especially with faster defenders that are faster physically and mentally. I mean, he throws a pretty ball, though. And like I said, great footwork. If he's actually got time to make a decision in that pocket where he's got good footwork, he could be a fantastic quarterback as long as he has weapons across the middle. If he were going to Carolina, like a DJ Moore would be great. Or, Christian McCaffrey would be great. But it's going to take a couple of years for the Panthers to actually fully start this rebuild and get themselves off the ground. I mean, they had a good end of the year last year with Darnold and with Deontay Foreman, who's now on the Bears. But I don't see Bryce Young, after trading DJ Moore, having that much success. Not year one at least. Excuse me. Not year one at least. I think that they'll probably struggle out the gate as they look to bolster that offensive line around him and upgrade that receiver room. But, I mean, if they can do both of those things, I think that Bryce Young's ceiling is another short guy by the name of Drew Brees. He's got some stunning accuracy. He's just obviously got the height disadvantage, and I think that's really the biggest downside that everybody loves to point out. But he's also got very good decision-making when he's got time, and he's very intelligent in the pocket. So, otherwise, I think really the other big issue is just thrown over the middle. Like I said, in the NFL, defenders are really going to sniff that out very quickly and very easily. But if he can adjust to the speed of the NFL, then, so be it. So then we'll go ahead and go to the Texans with Will Anderson. I've been hearing a lot that they are going to go with a defensive player. And I hated the idea of that at first, but I think that they're going to go ahead and target Hendon Hooker. And I don't think that that's a bad play, because I think that they need some maturity in that locker room. They need to find an identity. And I think that Hendon Hooker can do that. And he is by far the most NFL-ready quarterback in this draft class. And I think that once you get a good defender and, some weapons around Hendon Hooker, that's starting to look like a real team in 4 years. But, I like the direction. I like Hendon Hooker a lot. I think if it hadn't been for that ACL, he certainly would have been a top 3 probably quarterback prospect. His age is really the biggest downside. Aside from that, he throws absolute darts down the field and just pinpoint accuracy. So, I like Hendon Hooker. If that's what they end up doing, I think it's a good move. I think Will Anderson is a prototype edge rusher, good speed rusher, and I think that he would do wonders for the Texans defense. On to number 3, the Cardinals taking Tyree Wilson. I'll be 100% honest with you. I'm not very familiar with Tyree Wilson's game, but I know that the Cardinals need talent wherever they can get it, whether it's the defensive line, whether it's their linebacker core, whether it's offensive line, whether it's weapons. They need to take the best player available, and I think that's Tyree Wilson, considering the, character problems with Jalen Carter. So Tyree Wilson is the pick at number 3. And number 4, we've got the Colts landing C.J. Stroud. And in my opinion, this is a home run pick for the Cardinals. He does a fantastic job of moving in the pocket and not staring down his receivers. He has prototypical size and mobility for the modern NFL quarterback. And, I mean, when he was playing Georgia, he read that defense incredibly well, which is saying something considering their defense is pretty much, as far as scheme goes, the closest thing you can get to an NFL defense in college. He's great at making mid-play adjustments as well. I mean, he directs his receivers while on the run sometimes, and then puts it just in a spot where only his man can get to it. I mean, he's great at throwing on the run. He's got good decision making. He's willing to check it down to the open man when his receivers aren't open. He's got great pocket presence and footwork in the pocket to avoid sacks. You pair that with the ability to throw it on the run, and I mean, you've got a package of very valuable skills for the modern quarterback. I mean, dude can throw darts after evading sacks because he keeps his eyes downfield and he processes the defense very, very quickly, even when he's got pressure right in his face. I mean, when he's on, his escapability is second to none. I mean, in that regard, he looks like Russell Wilson at times, just taller. If CJ can play at NFL speed, I think his ceiling can be what everyone projected Justin Herbert to be and what they project him still to be. I think his floor is an Eli Manning. I think he'll end up a productive quarterback no matter what situation he's in the league. But, I mean, if he ends up somewhere like Houston that doesn't have any identity or, many offensive weapons, he could wind up just a slightly above average quarterback if he can't adjust to the speed of the NFL, which is a big thing for any rookie quarterback. I think that Indy is his best fit, though, and I think that they're lucky and ecstatic to get him. And I think this is exactly what they've been looking for these past 3 seasons. I think there were many problems that were exacerbated by poor quarterback play last season. The biggest being the inability to throw the ball downfield, which led defenses to load the box and not really allow Jonathan Taylor much space to work with. I believe Stroud and Indy are going to be a perfect fit, and I'd love to see them grab a Jalen Hyatt in the second round to give him another weapon alongside Michael Pittman Jr., or even trade up into the first round and nab a Dalton Kincaid. And honestly, I think that this team could make a playoff push, especially in the AFC South, that your really only contention is Jacksonville. I think they absolutely would have a chance. Next up, the Seahawks taking Jalen Carter. I think that if there's an organization that can take the flyer on the character risks of Jalen Carter, it's Seattle. They've got a great foundation with Pete Carroll and that front office. The way that they drafted last year, I think they've got good morale, good chemistry, a good defense starting to build right in Seattle. I think that Jalen Carter could thrive there. I think he's just a young kid who made a mistake riding off the high of a national championship win. I don't think it's a huge deal. I think the bigger problem really is his pro day. I mean, it wasn't a good look. But I think the Seahawks could get a lot out of him, and I think that he could transform that defense. The Lions with Devon Witherspoon, or Devon Witherspoon. I don't remember exactly. I don't remember how it's pronounced. I apologize. But Devon Witherspoon, regardless, him and Aiden Hutchinson together, in my opinion, forms a very powerful, presence there on both levels of the defense that you really need to have in order to contend in the NFC and really in any division in the NFL, but especially in the NFC North right now, who has shaky quarterback play at best. Having a lockdown quarterback like that is going to create hell for all of the quarterbacks in that division. And the Raiders at number 7, picking up Will Levis. Levis has got some good mechanics, and he's got a good ability to throw off-balance throws, like off his back foot. There was one throw against Florida. He was rolling left and throwing directly in front of him with some really good accuracy. It was only like 10 yards down the field, but it was a good, tough back foot, tough throw to make. And, I mean, he made it look easy. He'll stand in the pocket and complete passes with the defensive lineman in his face, but he does that a lot sometimes, that obliviousness will come back to bite him in the ass when he ended the season with 37 sacks compared to 44 for Richardson, Young, and Stroud combined. In fact, the highest among the three of them came from Bryce Young, behind that Bama line. So, I mean, that might be the issue here. I to be honest with you, I only watched 2 full games of Will Levis. And, I mean, it was versus Florida and Georgia. And his offensive line didn't fare very well in either of those. I don't know. I mean, he's got good play recognition. He can make quick decisions sometimes. He's just really inconsistent. And that is going to be a big thing that you're going to have to shake off in the NFL. You're going to have to gain some consistency because, I mean, at his peak, he to me, I think, has a ceiling of like a Ben Roethlisberger. He can break tackles. He's big. He's strong. He can utilize his legs a little bit at least. And he's got a big arm. But I also think that he has the floor of a Vince Young. I mean, just inconsistent, mobile, but, if you can't clean up the mechanics and the inconsistency, then it doesn't really matter how mobile you are. So I think that going to Oakland, having a Josh Jacobs to lean on for the first year or so, I guess, of his career after he sits behind Jimmy Garoppolo, I think would do him pretty well. I think he's a developmental type of guy for right now, but I think that he could end up being probably the second best quarterback. I think CJ Stroud is going to end up being the best out of this class. And I think, honestly, that Bryce Young is just going to have a tough time staying healthy. But if he can be healthy, I think he ends up being the number 1 in this class. But regardless, Will Levis at number 7, I think it makes sense. Let him sit and let him develop a little bit. And I think he'll be just fine. The Titans traded up to number 8 in my mock with Atlanta, and they grab Anthony Richardson. I think, again, same type of deal with Levis as with Richardson. Have him, if you don't feel comfortable, have him sit behind Ryan Tannehill for a season. And the next season when he's ready, you've got Derrick Henry there to kind of lean on as the offense. Maybe, hopefully, draft a wide receiver in next year's draft, maybe a Marvin Harrison Jr. And I think you've got the start to a very, very interesting offense, and their defense isn't bad at all. I mean, let's see here. Well, scratch that. Their running defense is great, but their passing defense is one of the worst in the NFL. But still, Tennessee, I think, would be a fun option for Anthony Richardson, who has good poise in the pocket and the ability to get the ball out very quickly before a defender hits him. I mean, even against Georgia. He doesn't have a great offensive line at Florida, but he's got good enough mechanics and awareness to make guys miss. He misses some easy ones, though. We know about his speed, but his strength is another factor as well. It allows him to be rather escapable in and out of the pocket to go along with that mobility that he's got. He even dragged a defensive lineman along with him for an extra 3 yards in the red zone. He's capable of putting the ball in the bread basket there on deep balls, but he is a little inconsistent again, like most of these rookie quarterbacks. But he's got a rare skill set of size, strength, speed, awareness, pocket presence, and sometimes pinpoint accuracy as well. But he struggles again, like I said, with that inconsistency. But I think that comes with the territory also when you're a first-year starter on an SEC football team. So, cut him a little bit of slack, I suppose. But I think, honestly, I've got him going to Tennessee, but I think his best fit would be in Atlanta, where he's got time to develop with those young guys and Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and again, lean on the running game of Cordell Patterson while he gets adjusted. But, I mean, if he can get more consistent with his accuracy, I think that he could end up... He's got the highest potential, probably, I guess, with probably a ceiling of a Josh Allen. But I also think that he's got the floor of Jake Locker, which is fitting for him going to Tennessee, I guess. But he's a gamble, but I think in the right environment, he's definitely worth the risk. So, Anthony Richardson to the Titans at number 8. And then we've got the Steelers at number 9, trading up with Chicago, who I've got trading down with Pittsburgh for a first-rounder next year and a second-rounder this year. Paying a big premium to move up to number 8, number 9, moving up 8 spots. But I think that the reason this is going to happen is because I don't think Chicago is comfortable with the defensive weapons that are available at number 9 on the defensive line. So instead of going with an offensive tackle that they're not quite sure is going to be a scheme fit, having Braxton Jones play on the left tackle position, I think that they're going to trade down and try to target Darnell Wright at 17. And I think that he's going to still end up being there, even though there's projected to be a run of offensive tackles right there in the low teens. I still think that they'll end up being able to get him there. And I think that the reason the Steelers end up trading up is because you convince them that the Patriots are trying to trade up for Hendon Hooker, and convince them that there won't be another trade partner before the run of tackles begin with probably, I would say, Green Bay at 13, probably through about 17 with Chicago at that point. So they trade up and get, in my opinion, probably the best pure tackle in the draft. I think Skoronski might end up coming away as the best offensive lineman in the draft as far as just pure talent-wise goes, even though he's got some short little T-Rex arms. But I think the Steelers get their guy in Paris Johnson Jr. And then number 10, the Eagles. The rich just keep on getting richer as they take Bijan Robinson, who is, I mean, a three down back, somebody that you can pair with Jalen Hurts. And like I talked about in the beginning of this thing, I mean, you got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. You've got then Bijan Robinson with Jalen Hurts. I mean, that's just a sick arsenal of weapons for Jalen Hurts to deal with. And I mean, what do you do as a defense, honestly? I mean, that running game is just going to be silly. So I think that they go ahead and take the generational running back talent in this class, considering they got this pick very luckily in the top 10. And I think that at that point, you just take the best player available. And I think that Bijan is going to end up probably being the best player in the class. So, like I said, the rich get richer, man. And the Eagles, they're rich right now. So, that is my 2023 mock draft. Let me know in the comment section below how you thought I did. Was it awful? Was it great? Was it mid? Were the trades crazy? Just let me know what you guys thought, and have a great rest of your day.